As much as I would like to add lasers to T-Rexes and sharks, it's quite impossible, mostly because T-Rexes are extinct and lasers, they just don't do well underwater. Hey guys, in each video or article of mine I'm trying to demonstrate the best feature of a product or a cool idea, and it took me a moment to actually come up with something I think pretty cool. And you have every right to wonder what is self-engraving laptop and what this has to do with Ortur Master 2 Pro laser engraver. So I came up with this idea that I'm going to engrave my laptop. After all, it's made of anodized aluminum and it could use a bit of TLC. I mean, if I'm going to turn famous, then it's going to be a great investment because that's going to be worth a lot of money. But if I wasn't going to get famous, which is probably more likely idea, then, well, I guess I'm not going to sell that anytime soon, am I? But there is one problem. This room isn't very good for engraving, mostly due to airflow, and I really wanted to keep the room ventilated for that. Now, I do have a second computer, which is behind me, but the tower itself is 20 kilo, and due to my bad back right now, I can't lift anything. So I needed a workaround. And this is where I hatched that evil plan. What am I doing? Thanks to the big working area of the Ortur engraver, I was able to place the laptop inside with all the cables. Oh, there was one problem. I can't get this started without opening the lid. So after 20 minutes of running up and down the stairs to operate via remote desktop from here and align the laptop where the engraver should be, I managed to pull off a couple of tests at the underside of the laptop just to get the settings right. And I got them right. Please do not follow me. I know what I've been doing wasn't the smartest idea, engraving on a wooden table, but I spent extra time to make sure that the laser never goes outside of the laptop, so that way I minimize the, table losses to minimum. After everything was set, I logged into a computer behind me and pressed the magic button to start engraving. Now the engraving process took a couple of hours, however, I was quite conservative with the speed because this thing can go really, really fast. So fast in fact that it can move the engraver itself, and obviously I wanted to paint a pretty picture. So there you have it, a self-engraving laptop. But this video is about Ortur Master 2 Pro laser engraver. I always wanted to have 3D printers and a laser cutter. Now I do have a 3D printers which are just there. I'm gonna link them in a card in here so you can watch reviews if you're in the market for it. But I've yet to own a laser cutter. I have access to it through a local hackspace, but I don't think I have enough space for the laser cutter itself. So you might be asking question, what's the difference between a laser cutter and a laser engraver? Well, laser cutter is more likely to chop off your hands and leave you scarred for life, while the laser engraver are the light version of laser cutter. They aim more at scorching the surface of materials you're working on than cutting through them. So that's the main difference. And Ortur is a laser engraver. The main feature, it's obviously the laser module itself. It's powered by 24 volts and it uses 5.5 watt optical power module. This laser has a working area of 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters, and that's a lot. To be honest, it's gonna be probably more than I ever need. And thanks to the construction, it is actually possible to move the engraver around. So even if you have a massive working area, with a clever system, you could move the engraver and, engrave to infinity and beyond. But back to the reality. Now it's driven by NEMA 17 steppers and it's actually capable of quite wicked speed. I've been driving it at 6,000 millimeters per second, which caused the engraver itself to wobble, and in the manual it says you can drive it up to 10,000 millimeters per second, but for both cases you probably need to bolt it down to prevent the frame from moving and ruining your engraving. The engraver comes with a couple of safety features, including flame detection, something I really hope I won't use, and there is an e-stop just in case you have to stop it quick I used that twice already and I'll tell you why in a second. And green shades to protect your eyes. I mean, these are cool, they're not giving you protection. Those are proper dorky ones that are gonna give you protection. So yeah, look after your eyes. As the engraver has been sent to me partially assembled, I needed to sit down and build it. So I obviously did it on a live stream, and that took me just over an hour, mostly thanks to pretty rubbish instructions. So if you're gonna get this, throw away that instructions, because there is such a better instruction available online with bigger pictures and correct wiring for your stop sensors, something that the including instructions didn't have it right, which is probably the biggest disappointment out of everything so far. But with an hour to spare, you'll be able to build the frame and start engraving. Just know that you're gonna need appropriate software and a laptop to operate the unit, unless you're willing to upgrade and buy the module that will let you control the engraver itself. Speaking of upgrades, there are a list of things that you can actually add to this engraver, including the roller kit that has been also sent to me, something I'm yet to use, mostly because right now I don't really have a proper setup to position the engraver above the rollers. But what rollers do, they'll let you actually engrave on bottles around objects by using this contraption underneath the engraver itself and disconnecting Y-axis. That way you can still engrave as normal, and the roller will turn the whatever object you've got, whether it's a wine glass or something similar, around and let you complete the process successfully. The last available upgrade on Ortur's site is the Z-height adjustment kit, which is gonna make adjusting the Z-height a little bit easier. I mean, for the most part, once you set the distance from the working material, you are ready to roll. And if you're looking for aftermarket upgrades, just bear in mind that this is 24-volt unit, so you'll need a laser module compatible with that. Now, this is 5.5 watt laser, and that is the optical power. A lot of listings advertise the laser modules up to 40 watts, but this is a power consumption, electrical power consumption, not the optical power. These laser modules are more likely to be in a range of 7.5 to 10 watts only. Everything above 10 watts, it's most likely to be a CO2 powered laser module, which is completely incompatible with this engraver. Obviously, I'm quite proud with my achievement, and to be honest, this is the first big engraving job I took upon. I've never used engraver machines before, so I was very keen to try it with different machines. So I dumped through a couple of bins at work to fish out scraps of random materials and put it on a bed to, well, to test it and see what's going on and what this engraver is good for. Now, first, safety. Take in consideration the material you're engraving. But safety first. This laser engraver doesn't come with enclosure, and this is where it's very important to wear the safety specs. Now, this is just in case you are engraving a reflective material, and scattered laser can actually damage your eyes, so take precaution. Also, when it comes to engraving, not all of the materials are good for engraving. Some of them are dangerous because they are highly flammable, others are dangerous because they will produce toxic fumes that you probably shouldn't be breathing in. Read about the material you want to engrave and make sure you know what you're doing first. Now, the Ortur itself will provide you with a reference of the materials and suggested settings for each, so use that as your baseline, and I'll tell you about my experience with engraving on random materials I had. So for my test, I quickly designed a small image which would incorporate different laser settings, and I've used 30, 60 and 100% laser strength, and also 2 passes of the laser at 100% strength, all running at 1000 millimeters a second. Let's start with wood. Balsa and plywood, the materials I've tested, they were producing quite decent effects. I could easily cut through balsa wood, but the plywood would probably take a couple of passes to actually get a nice clean cut. Just remember the wood is highly flammable, and be aware of any wood that's been chemically treated because it can produce some fumes. Now, second one was aluminium, and on the raw stock of aluminium I was not able to leave a scratch. The situation changed once the aluminum was anodized, and the effect obviously you could see on my laptop. So if you're going to engrave aluminum, well, just make sure it's anodized. Another material I've tested was stainless steel. And stainless steel is really good for engraving. I mean, as long as you're not trying to cut through it, because it will take you a million years. So yeah, do yourself a favor and use it for engraving, not for anything else. Unless you've got an evil laser cutter like we have at work. After that, I've tried Perspex, and my experiences were quite mixed. With the black Perspex, it yielded really nice effects, and with a couple of passes I should be able to cut through a 3mm Perspex without problems. However, with the white, highly reflective Perspex, I was not able to leave a single scorch marks. Situation was even more bizarre with transparent one, when the laser was unable to focus and ended up scorching a bottom side of the material, even though it was actually focused on the top side of the material. So no go there. The last thing I want to try was to find out whether I can etch PCBs with it. So I took a prototyping PCB, set the laser cutter and tried to cut traces. I mean, if you can cut existing traces, you shouldn't have any problems etching it. Unfortunately, even with multiple passes, I was not able to cut traces. I mean, I stopped my attempts after 10 passes, so if you're patient enough, maybe with 20 or 25 passes you'll be able to do some damage. But I probably wouldn't recommend that for PCB etching. Obviously there are more materials that you can try, and you can use some tricks like painting the materials to actually help you with the engraving process, but I'll leave you to your own research and just make sure that the material you're working on is safe. Overall, I'm really pleased with this engraver. I mean, just look at my laptop. It's gorgeous now, even though it's old. So if you're interested, in the description you'll find a link to this engraver in particular. Now, it will set you back $459, so it's a considerable investment. However, you could start charging your family and friends for custom products. I mean, come on, I know people that would pay money to customize their stuff like this. I mean, probably not with NotEnoughTECH, but you get the idea. Now, if that sold you, the link is there and you can look into compatible attachments, upgrades, etc. So guys, if you have tips and tricks on how to engrave materials that are not easy to engrave, do let me know in the comments to this video. I'll be definitely reading them and learning as I go. Because something tells me that this Christmas everyone I know will receive a customized bottle of wine with the matching glasses for it. So you know the drill. I do not have a posting schedule, so if you're interested in more content like this, you know how YouTube works. I'm not going to teach you that. But what I'm going to say, there's some hidden products at the background which I'm going to talk about in the future, and if you want to start the conversation early, then follow me on any given social media which is listed also on the screen for you. As for now guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully with all my fingers and eyes. Bye!